In this lecture, we will talk about merging datasets with Pandas. The merging operation, which corresponds to the join operation of those who are familiar with SQL, consists of a combination of data through the connection of rows with one or more keys. So in fact, anyone have been working with a relational database usually use a join query with SQL to get data from different tables using some reference values, for example keys, and shared between them. So on the basis of these keys, it is possible to obtain new data in a tabular form as a result of the combination of other tables. So this operation with the library Pandas is called merging, and the merge function is the function to perform this kind of operation. So here we define two data frames and we'll carry out the merging by applying the merge function to these two data sets. So frame 1, use pd.dataframe, and inside we put two array for the ID key value pairs, though this frame has two column variable called ID and price with 5 value. And frame 2 also has two columns called ID and color with 4 rows. Then if we write pd.merge frame 1 and frame 2, then output will be a data frame with 3 columns, because, and you can see the results, the returned data frame consists of rows that have an ID in common in two data frames. So the ID will be automatically as the key for the merging, and the resulting data frame will add these two columns from these two data sets together, and the rows will be 3 rows. It is the intersection of these two data frames. And in most cases, you need to decide which is the column on which to base the merging. To do this, have to add the on option with the column names as the key for the merging. So we create two data frames. Frame 1 has 3 column variable ID color brand with 5 rows, and frame 2 has 2 column variable ID brand with 4 rows. So now in this case you have two data frames having columns with the same name, because ID brand appear in both data frames. So if you launch a merge, you do not get any results. We just write pd.merge frame 1 frame 2, the output will be empty. So it is necessary to explicitly define the criteria for merging that Pandas must follow. Specify the name of the key column in the on option. So we have to write pd.merge frame 1 frame 2 on. So here we write ID. So the result will be a data frame with ID here, and ID is the ball. ID is the ball, color for white, red, and the brand X brand Y comes from two data frames. And if we write pd.merge frame 1 frame 2 on the brand, it will be also a data frame with 4 columns. Then the brand is here, and color is added. Then ID for the first data frame will be transformed as IDX, and the second data frame's ID will be transformed as IDY. Often the opposite problem arises, such as to have two data frames in which the key columns do not have the same name. So to remedy this situation, you have to use the left on and the right on options, so which is specify the key column for the first and the second data frame. So for example, we change the column's name of the frame 2 to these two name, SID and brand. Then we can write pd.merge frame 1, frame 2. The left on is ID, which means we use frame 1's ID and frame 2's right on frame 2's SID to match these two column variable to merge. And the result will be a data frame with 5 columns. You can see the ID and SID appear here. Actually, their value are the same. Their value are the same because this is the inner join. So intersection, only the common values appear in these two columns in two data frames will be merged. So other columns will be added. But the brand X and the brand Y, because we have not write brand here, so brand appear in both frames. Then the first data frame's brand will be transformed to brand X, and the second will be as brand Y. And by default, the merge function performs an inner join, so the keys in the result are the result of an intersection. Other possible options are the left join, the right join, and the outer join. So the outer join produces the union of all keys, combining the effect of a left join with a right join. So if we write how equals outer, then the ID values appear in two data frames. The union of these ID values will appear in the resulting data frame. So you can see other columns may have not a number value. Not a number value will appear. Because now here is 6 rows in the resulting data frame. And similarly, we can use left in the how argument, the left for this ID. So the ID value appear in the first data frame will appear in the resulting data frame. Also, we'll have not a number value in some column. If we set the right in the how option, then the ID value in the second data frame will appear here. So only 4 rows in the resulting data frame. And to merge multiple keys, you can simply add a list to the on option. For example, you can write pd.merge frame 1, frame 2, then on a list by 2 column variables in 2 data frames. And we can set outer. So there will be 9 rows in the resulting data frame. And some value for the color, for example, would be not a number. And merge on an index. So in some cases, instead of considering the columns of a data frame as keys, indexes could be used as keys for merging. Then in order to decide which index to consider, you can set the left index or right index options to true. So for example, if we write pd.merge frame 1, frame 2, right index true and the left index true, then the merging will be based on the index of these 2 data frames. And because ID and brand appear in both data frames, then the column variables will be set as IDX, IDY, brand X, and brand Y. this is that in the join, only the union of their index will be merged. And we can also set option how to alter, so the result for the index will be 5 rows. And data frame objects also have a join function, which is much more convenient when you want to do merging by index. It can also be used to combine many data frame objects having the same index, but with no columns overlapping. So in fact, if you launch, you will get an error code because some columns in frame 1 have the same name as frame 2. Then you have to rename the columns in frame 2 before launching the join function. So if we just write frame1.join frame2, it will take a merging by index. But because these two data frames have some column variable which have the same name, so it will come value error. So first we have to change the columns names. For example, frame2, change to these two names, which are different from the column names in frame 1. Then we can write frame1.join frame2, and the result will be a merging by the index of these two data frames. And with the option called alter the union of this index in both data frames. We will show all these statements in Anaconda Spider now. We see the file called section 13, Pandas in-depth data manipulation.py, and the link to this file will be put in the description of this video. So first we see the lecture 1, merging datasets with pandas. First import library and set the working directory. Then we create two data frames, frame 1 and frame 2. In the frame 2 is the frame 1. ID color in frame 2, ID price in frame 1. Then we can merge these two. The result will have 3 columns. Then the price color combined in the resulting data frame. And the ID is the key for the merging. Then we create another 2 data frames. Frame 2 ID blend. Frame 1 ID color blend. So because these 2 data frames has 2 variable have the same name ID blend, if we just write merge these 2, will be empty because do not know which column you want to be based on as the key. So we have to merge on the ID, for example. Then the blend will be blend X, blend Y, and we merge on blend, and the result will be like this. ID X, ID Y, blend is the common, is the key. And we change the name. So now frame 2's name is SID blend. So because ID and SID not the same name, so we have to use left on and right on. So the result will be 5 columns data frame, ID, SID, then blend X, blend Y. And we change it back. And merge. So usually this is an inner join with only 4 rows. but we can write out join will be 6 rows, then other variables may have not a number value. We can also use left join on ID, also 6 rows. So this ID will be the same as the ID in first data frame, because we use left. And if we use right, only 4 rows, the ID value will be same as the second variable's ID value. And merge can based on 2 columns. See, these are very long, has a 9 rows, ID brand, not change the name because both columns appear in 2 data frame and used as the keys, so do not need to change these column names in the resulting data frame. So merge on index, can write so merge on index. This is the inner join, and we can use out join. So there are 5 rows, and we can use join for index merging. This is a value error because they have the same name in 2 data frame. We have to change the name for the column, then frame 1 to join frame 2. This is the resulting data frame for the join function.